Hello folks, my name is Mark, this is Why I Hate the World. How you guys doing? So this is a response to Julie Borowski, who made a video where she talks about why she doesn't like the idea of giving people a free college education. So, in case you don't know what we're talking about, this was a proposal by Barack Obama where he challenged Congress, like he has a plan that he wants to give subsidies to students for 2 years of community college so that they won't graduate with thousands upon thousands of dollars of college loans, screwing them over for 20 years to come or whatever. So I usually don't make these kinds of response videos, but I wanted to this time because I really like the idea. I think that this idea is an excellent idea, right? So, first thing I want to say is Julie mischaracterizes the proposal. Starts off the video by playing word games with the word free.
First, let's talk about the word free because there seems to be some confusion. It would be awesome if politicians could just suspend the laws of economics and make college free for everyone. But it doesn't work that way because, unfortunately, we live in an imperfect world. We live in a world with scarcity. There's seemingly unlimited human wants, but we live in a world with limited resources. As much as that stinks, that's just the way it is. It's not something that we can just wish away. It's economics. No matter how many people say that college should be totally free, it's not going to happen, mainly because it's impossible.
Obviously, it's not free, right? The plan would be is for students who qualify that they would get subsidies for up to, $3,600 or some odd dollars every semester, which would do a lot, all right? Because, community college is not that expensive. I mean, when compared to going to a university or something, but it's not cheap either, okay? It comes out to roughly, $150 per class or something, and then, books are like a fucking astronomically expensive now. You spend more on the books than you do on the actual classes, right? And to take an entire full load, 6 classes, right, for a semester could easily cost you several $1,000s, right? And let's not forget, all the other shit that you gotta buy, you gotta buy supplies and stuff like that, right? And then also most people who go to community college are older and they have jobs, and so that means you gotta work less in order to go to school, and then you're like missing wages and all this other crap, right? So it can be an expensive thing, The thing is that most of the other developed countries in the world also pay for, adults to go to college, to get some form of higher education, right? And I think it's mischaracterizing it, right, to say that this is free. And it's like, obviously it's going to be paid for by our taxes, right? Just like every other government thing that, program that the government does is paid for taxes, right? But what she's doing by saying it's free and then it's going to be other people's money and all this other shit, it's trying to make it sound like it's an entitlement program, like it's welfare or something, right? That people who are not deserving of it are going to be taking of it and you're going to be paying for them. And that's usually it's a conservative argument, that you hear a lot from, from Republicans and conservatives and right-wingers and shit. And they're basically depending on people's, greed, not just greed, but people's, stinginess, right? Say, I don't want to pay for, why should I have to pay for this guy or whatever? That's basically the same argument whenever conservatives want to cut anything, You paying for somebody else to go get an education doesn't only help him, it helps you in the long run because you're helping the economy, right? You're helping, you're helping people who are educated, they go on to earn more money, right? That helps the economy, that helps, ultimately it helps you get a job, and it helps, so you are helping yourself by helping these other people, right? And I mean, I think the effect though is a lot more measurable when it comes to education. Okay, those countries in the world that don't provide education for their citizens are pretty shitty places to live, right?
There's a cost to goods and services. For instance, college professors, they get a paycheck because they provide a service. The vast majority of professors are not going to work for no pay. I mean, would you? Would you continue to do your job for no pay because somebody determined that your services should be free? Probably not.
She turns around, right, and she says that, well, why would this, why would anybody work for free, And that's just another, it's mischaracterizing the proposal, number one. Nobody says that you have to work for free, that nobody's saying that since college education is going to be free, that all the professors and everybody that works for the college is suddenly not going to be paid. That's idiotic. That's dumb, number one, right? Secondly, I mean, the thing is, professors in England and the Netherlands and Northern Europe, and Finland and all those other places, they're all paid, and they're paid pretty well. They're professionals in those countries, right? Being a college professor is a good job that people aspire to in those countries. Why should it be any different here,
Somebody is going to pay for free college education, and it's going to be taxpayers. The Obama administration says that it would save as many as 9 million students $3,800 every year. That means that it would cost taxpayers $34.2 billion every year.
What's wrong with taxpayers paying for people to go to college, right? I mean, we already use tax money to pay for children and teenagers to go to school, don't we? Why do we do that? I mean, I think the reason we do that is because at some point in the past, somebody said, if our people don't know how to read or do math, then they're not going to be able to hold a job, right? They're going to be too stupid to work. And so it was in the public's best interest to use tax money in order to educate our children so that we don't have a bunch of retards walking around here. That's what I think would happen, So how is that different than paying for a young adult to go to continue their education, to get the skills they need in order to go out and, join the economy? I don't really see much of a difference there, me personally. I mean, is it because they're an adult, right? It's because you're over 18 and, I have no more obligation to help you? Why? Why is that? It's just some arbitrary age that you cut off and it's like, well, you're over this age, and I don't have to help you anymore. That doesn't make sense to me, right? Is it because of tax dollars, So you think that maybe tax money should not be going to help young adults get an education? I can understand that if your argument is tax dollars and you're just against the principle of taxation, a lot of people are, but let me counter by that by saying that, well, the government spends your money, your tax dollars, on a lot of things, and a lot of those things are things that a lot of people don't like. Me personally, I don't like prisons. I don't like nuclear power subsidies, right? I don't like the national security spying apparatus. But my money gets spent on all of those fucking things, right? So, how come whenever I see conservatives and tax protesters and sovereign citizen types and all those other people who hate taxes trying to shut things down, it's always something that helps people that they're trying to stop. Why is that? Why do they always want to shut down food stamps or welfare or something like that, or education, right? You never see these people trying to stop the really truly wasteful spending, like in our military. Right. I mean, the millions upon millions of dollars that go to military projects that are never completed, and that just goes down into a black hole somewhere, or subsidies for nuclear power. How can we never have, conservatives are never trying to stop that? I mean, that's an entire industry that is propped up by our tax dollars, that wouldn't be able to survive on its own without these subsidies. Why, there's a whole shit ton of wasteful spending, but they never try to stop that. But when it comes to oh, here's some shit that might actually help some people, yeah, get rid of here, get out of here, you fucking liberals. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me, right? And if I could say $34.2 billion is nothing, all right? That's a drop in the fucking bucket compared to the overall federal spending. What was the budget last year? $4.2 trillion, right? What was the military budget last year? I don't even know. $600-700 billion. I mean, that's how much, $34.2 billion. That's 15 minutes of what we spent on the military. right? That's nothing, okay? We spend more every year on war and dropping bombs on people and keeping people in Guantanamo Bay, you know, for that amount of money. Then how come we can't use that to like do something that actually helps people and would actually benefit our nation, you know, in the future? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, if your problem is trying to save money, there's plenty of things out there that you could get rid of that are like detrimental to like the human race besides fucking education.
Now, the issue that I addressed in my status that got a lot of hate is college degree inflation, which I believe is a real thing. The law of supply and demand also applies to college degrees. Now, just because you don't want it to doesn't make it so. Economics can be mean like that. As more people graduate from college than ever before, associate's and bachelor's degrees are becoming increasingly worthless to employers. Jobs that once only needed a 2 or 4 year degree, now employers highly prefer a master's degree for the same exact job. As record number of people graduate from college, the basic qualifications to get hired keep going up and up. That's why many people are graduating with 4-year degrees and they're going back to waiting tables or bartending, which doesn't yet require a college degree.
College degree inflation. So I've heard this argument before, you know, the idea being that if everybody has a college degree, then that means they're worth less. And I don't believe that for an instant, okay? The reason why lots of people who are getting degrees now can't get jobs is because there are no jobs out there, okay? It's not because the employers are saying, hey, everybody has a college degree, so we want people who are better than college degree. That's not true at all, okay? It's because the economy is shitty, right? And even though it's improved drastically over the last couple of years, you know, it's still in the toilet. I mean, it's still pretty freaking horrible out there, right? So that's the number one thing. That's why people who are graduating with liberal arts degrees are having to work at Starbucks, right? It's not because your liberal arts degree is worthless. It's because there's no fucking jobs right now, right? Secondly, I can tell you from personal experience that just having that degree makes a big deal. Okay, even if it's not in the field that you're like going to, right? Just having a degree makes a big deal. You know, go out there and look in the want ads, right? Go online to various Fortune 500 companies and look at the job openings they have, right? And you're going to see things like college degree required, right? It's not going to say college degree in engineering, college degree in computer science. Very rarely, right? It'll just say college degree required. They don't care what kind of degree you have, right? All they care about is, are you qualified to do the job, right? So the thing is that half the time you can't even get in the door without a college degree, okay? And the thing is, it's been like that for decades. You know, this is not a new phenomenon. It's been like that since the 70s, right? The thing is that the jobs today, they're not the same as they were 40, 50 years ago, okay? The days when you could like drop out of school at 16 and start working and enjoy a nice middle-class lifestyle and be able to save up for your retirement and all that shit, those days are gone, all right? The minimum wage, you know, the price of actual real wages is not kept up with, you know, the price of living, right? Minimum wage in 1970 was actually higher than it is today. You know, it's the equivalent of making $12 an hour today or something like that, right? And it's, you know, that you can't do that anymore. You know, our parents' generation could, we cannot, okay? And in the future, it's going to be even less because there's going to be less and less jobs that require, you know, that unskilled people will be able to do that, pay enough money to live on, right? It's, you know, all of our unskilled factory and manufacturing jobs, they went overseas. They're gone. They're not coming back, all right? It's never gonna be how it was in the past, right? And telling people to not get college degrees is not gonna somehow turn that around. That doesn't make any sense, all right? I mean, the thing is, in the future, you know, we need people with technical skill, right, for our nation to like keep its first world status. You know, this is what we need. You know, we need people with technical skill in computers and programming and interface design and fucking mathematics and computer science, you know, and we also need fucking, you know, people, we need business people, you know, people to do the accounting and the bookkeeping and fucking the organizing and to manage fucking time and to be the project managers and, you know, marketing and to come up with the requirements to put deals together and all that shit. And we need engineers and we need machine smiths and we need foremen and we need people who fucking build things and we need scientists, right? And these are not jobs you can just fucking go and like get and learn how to do on the fly, right? They can't just like train you how to fucking do it overnight with a manual and shit, right? You're not going to be like a fucking biochemist doing that shit. It just doesn't make any sense. These are jobs that, you know, require a lot of education and training and accreditation in order to like, you know, be competent at. Right? You can't just learn stuff like this on the go, right? You can't just show up one day and be like, hey, you want to be a programmer? Yeah, sit down, I'll teach you how to do it. That's not how the fucking shit works, all right? Part of my job, I'm not going to tell you what I do for a living, you know, because I have a day job. Part of what I do is actually hiring people, you know. I interview people, right? And I decide if they can, you know, be on my team or whatever. And this is what I look at when I look at somebody's resume. I look at experience, education, personality. That's what I look at, right? Does this guy have the experience, right? Has he done the kind of work before? Yes or no, right? If he hasn't, does he have an education, right? Does he know, is he capable of learning what my job does, right? No. How's his personality, right? Is he a nice enough guy? Do you think he'll learn? Do you think he'll put the time in to actually learn how to do it? No. All right. That's what I look at personally, right? And education, you know, although it's not at the top of my list, it does make a difference, right? I have hired people in the past that have had degrees over people who didn't, right? But I can also say from experience that elsewhere out there in the world, it's a lot more important, right? You can't even, you know, don't even try to like go to an interview without having the right education, you know, without, it'll say a lot of, you know, go out there and look, like I said before, go out there and look and it'll say, you know, bachelor's required, you know, 5 years, bachelor's required and 5 years experience in the industry or something like that. If you don't have that, you're not getting that, you're not even going to get the interview for that, right? And that is not because everybody has a degree, right? That's because that's what the job requires, okay? And people not having college degrees is not going to turn that shit around. What'll happen is that they're going to like import people with the proper skills. You know, you ever wonder why so many people, so many IT professionals are from India and the Middle East? You know, right? Why are so many people, I'm not the first person to notice this. I know that I'm not the first person to notice this. Why is it that so many of our IT professionals and programmers and various, you know, database administrators and things, how come they're all, you know, from the Middle East and from India, right? Pakistan and stuff like that. Why is that? It's because those countries over the last 20 years have spent a large amount of money not only building an IT infrastructure, but also providing the proper education for their citizens in order to take advantage of that, because that's what, you know, at the time in the 80s and 90s, that was, you know, growing. That was a sector of our economy that was expanding, and they knew it. They took steps to take advantage of that. And today, we're importing people from those countries in order to fill positions that, you know, normal people that live here, Americans that live here, don't have the skills for, right? I mean, fuck. I've seen it firsthand. Okay. So I just want to make one more point here. One thing I've heard a lot from conservatives and of the older generation, you know, from politicians and pundits, you know, people like Rush Limbaugh and some other people. One thing I've heard from them is that young people today are lazy because they have to stay at home with their parents longer into their 20s and even 30s sometimes because they can't find work that will allow them to move out. And the thing about that is that when these guys were of college age, back in the 60s and 70s, college was free, okay? Community college used to be free in most states in the country. It was free in California in the 70s, right? Absolutely free. You know, California had a model community college system that other places in the world emulated, you know. A lot of state schools were free, you know, right? It's not like that today, right? Community college is fucking expensive, right? I mean, it's not really, you know, it's not as expensive as going to a university, but it's expensive, right? It can cost you some money. Going to fucking a state school is ridiculously expensive. You know, something like, you know, can cost upwards of $10,000, you know, $20,000 to get a freaking, you know, bachelor's degree. It's ridiculous. You know, people are taking out these loans, you know, large amounts of, you know, student loans that go on for decades after they, you know, they're paying them off for fucking decades after they get out of school, right? That's why this proposal is there, because we want to remove that obstacle. Because what's going on is that people are getting out of college and they find that they're $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in debt, and then they're going, and let's say they do get a good job, half their fucking money is going to pay off this goddamn loan, right? And it's a drag on the economy, right? That's what this proposal is for. But I want to say, you know, back in the day, when these people went to school, it was free, okay? Back in the day when my parents went to school, it was free. It was a lot cheaper, if not free, it was cheaper, right? Way cheaper. But for, you know, things like community college was free, and it worked out pretty fucking well for them, right? And the thing is that not everybody of that generation went to college, right? A lot of them did. And that time, you know, that time period was, you know, as a result, we have an entire generation that was able to earn a lot of money, and most of them are pretty comfortable today. You know, there was an entire generation that, you know, there was a large spike in the freaking standard of living, and many people from that generation were able to put away for themselves, you know, and to actually do pretty well for themselves. And that's not going to happen. You know, now my generation and the generation after me, we're not going to have that, right? And it's because one of the stepping blocks in the way of us attaining that kind of financial stability is an incredibly fucking expensive college education, right? So I just think that, I think we should be doing, we should not be telling people not to go to college. We should be doing everything we can to help people go to college, because we need it. The country needs it. In order to maintain our first world status, we need educated professionals, right? And it's good for the kids, and it's good for us. Overall, it's good for everybody. I don't see how anybody loses by helping kids go to college. I don't know. Adios, folks.